everyone, Screaming Geek Me here. I am Jerry the Geek. This video, we've got the 4K review of Daylight. Before we jump into this, if you like physical media, 4Ks, Blu-rays, even DVDs, I do talk about those once in a while. If you like home theater, movies in general, please check out my other videos on my channel because I do these reviews. I do unboxings, collection updates every month. I do different discussions. Check that stuff out. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn your bell notifications on. And always feel free to comment below. Let me know what you think of anything. So let's talk about Daylight on 4K. You know, a movie came out in 1996, PG-13, directed by Rob Cohen. He's given us some great action movies. I really like what he's done. You know, the original Triple X, Fast and the Furious, Dragonheart. So he's given us some pretty big movies. And of course, you got Sylvester Stallone, Amy Brenneman, Viggo Mortensen, Dan Hedaya, and also has Sage Stallone, Sylvester's son. The movie is pretty basic if you don't know much about it. You basically got a tunnel that goes underneath the Hudson River connecting Manhattan and New Jersey. And you got trucks that's taking the tunnel that has loads of toxic waste. And you got some jewelry thieves, runaway car going through the tunnel and crashes into that. Explosion. Both ends of the tunnel seal off. And Stallone's character, Kit Latura, he's outside the tunnel and goes and actually gets involved and goes into the tunnel to try to help the survivors and get out. You know, it's got some great characters. You know, it's got the action sets, and I've always loved this movie. Definitely one of my favorite disaster movies. Now, this 4K comes from Turbine. You know, came out in December of last year. Now, Kino Lorber did put it out briefly last year, and as soon as it was released, it was pulled, and there were a lucky few out there that got copies before they were pulled. And all of them had the reviews on those all said the same thing. It was lackluster, disappointing. Why it was pulled, there's no official statements from Kino regarding it. You know, it was speculated that it was because it didn't have Dolby Atmos. Maybe they were waiting to see what the turbine was, because in the beginning of this, there is actually an introduction by Rob Cohen, and he talks about the restoration. And basically, it was all with color timing. He worked with Turbine. Basically, you know, he wanted to look exactly the way he does. So it's pretty interesting talking about that. So he was heavily involved with how this looks. So maybe the Kino Lorber didn't have that, and maybe they were waiting to get the same transfer here. I don't know. Again, just all speculation of why it was canceled. No new dates have been given as far as Kino putting theirs out. So for now, if you want the 4K, it's Turbine. Now, the movie was filmed in 35mm and finished here with HDR10 and Dolby Vision. And I will say off the bat, because I watched this a couple of weeks ago when I was doing my disaster theme, so did this one. So watching this, you know, with that one still fresh in my mind, which is the HD DVD here, you know, this looked freaking phenomenal. So going into this, I was fearful that I was going to be disappointed like I was with Dante's Peak. And if you can check out that review if you haven't yet. But this one was much more pleasing than the Dante's Peak 4K. I didn't feel disappointed as I was watching it. It was really good. You know, it had some great details. The textures were there. Black levels, very nicely done. Pops of color. The colors on this is so much better than a Dante's Peak. And it was cleaned up a little bit more, because that's one thing I will admit, watching this, as good as this was, you know, the colors, everything was rich and vibrant, jumped off the screen. This felt like a 4K, but the grain was inconsistent. It was some stuff was very heavy and some stuff was light. And so I think they did correct it. This is pretty even keeled throughout. It does have a nice fine grain to it, but it never felt overly done. So there was a little bit of work done there as well, besides the colors. Even though this did get a little bit of cleanup job, it still retained that raw, gritty look that it's always had in all the previous formats. So sometimes, again, it's subjective what everyone think, what people like. Sometimes 4Ks can lose a little bit of that, but I don't feel this lost anything at all. It still retains that, again, this retains that raw, gritty look, cinema feel. Now, as far as a Blu-ray comparison, I don't have that here. I think I had this on Blu-ray, but I might have got rid of it last year when I did my big purge from my collection, because I knew I was going to get the 4K. So I can't tell you as far as upgrading from Blu-ray to this, but I can tell you the comparisons with this. I got some screenshots here I took. Again, I've talked about this before. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I don't have fancy equipment. When it comes to screenshots, I don't do it that much anymore because it's a lot of work. And plus, because to get screenshots, I set up my tripod in front of my TV with my phone on it. And that's how I do my screenshots. It's not the greatest. I'd like to have something better, but that's extra money that needs to be spent. And for me, at the moment, I just don't feel it's worth it. I'm just a small-time YouTuber, I haven't even broken 1,000 subscribers yet, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. I just get, it's a loose representation of how things look, in my opinion. They're just these screenshots will give you a basic idea. Now, even though this got a director-approved, color grading from the director, and, the colors are better than the Dante's Peak, it's still, I prefer the colors here. Whether the Blu-ray, how the colors are, I don't remember, since I don't have it to compare it side by side. But that's the only way I'm going to notice is doing a side-by-side comparison. Because, watching this a couple weeks after this still looked freaking phenomenal. So watching this for the first time, you're not going to be going, that looks kind of weak. You're going to be impressed with this. Now for the audio, they gave us a Dolby Atmos track here and DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. Now I did start watching, I put in a Dolby Atmos track right off the bat. Now I don't have Atmos, I have just a 5.0 system, I don't have any subs, but I still get a hell of a lot of bass in my system. But after the initial explosion of the tunnel collapse, it did feel a little weak from the Atmos track. So right away, I went back, I flipped it over to the DTS, and bam, it kicked the shit. The house was rumbling, it sounded incredible. And a couple of scenes I flipped back and forth between Dolby and DTS, and yeah, if you want bass, you want the DTS track. I don't know what happened with, I don't know who's doing these tracks. Because normally Dolby Atmos is pretty damn good. And, if you watch my other reviews, the Dante's Peak, the Dolby Atmos track was pitiful. And the same here. I mean, it's good, but the DTS is the track to go with here. But besides the difference there, both tracks provide a nice balance overall. You don't feel like you're hearing things from a speaker you shouldn't. At least I didn't notice that. Really good low-end bass. I mean, the Atmos, even though it didn't have the punch as a DTS, it did have a decent low end, but just not enough. Also, the surround had some nice usage, some really nice ambience. A nice scene is a great example of that is when Kit goes into the shaft to go after Roar to try to talk him out of climbing up there. And as they're talking, you can hear the echoes in the shaft. That was very nicely done. And that sounded good on both ways, so there's really not much of a difference there. So the only difference in the audio track with Dolby and the DTS is the DTS has more of a punch to it, more impact. Now for the packaging, just like Dante's Peak, This comes in a slip case. You can see the front there. And we got the back. And of course, again, being turbine, it's all German, so I can't read a single word. And there's a tight fit. You have to kind of put your fingers in. It doesn't slide right out. You have to pull it out. Maybe. Yeah, standard keep case. Nice original artwork. And nice artwork on the back with no writing. Which is sometimes, it's pros and cons about not having any writing on the back. I mean, because they have it on here. But if you're a person that likes shelf space, if you got a shitload of movies with slip covers or slip cases, that takes up, you know, a lot of space. You know, I'd rather just have the case here on the shelf and then you can look at it, but now I can't. I'll probably print out my own cover for this. But anyways, I'm kind of rambling on. Pop this open. Oh shit, my disc is still in the... We got the Blu-ray here. My 4K is still in the player. Oops. But the Blu-ray is region-free, so you don't have anything to worry about. But you really don't need the Blu-ray because the bonus features are identical on a Blu-ray and a 4K. So there's really no reason to put in the Blu-ray disc. Now for the bonus materials, you know, we have an audio commentary by director Rob Cohen, which is ported over from the Blu-ray. Then we have a making of a Daylight featurette, which that's ported over, which is a good documentary. I want to say it's like around 30-some minutes, right in that ballpark. And you got an international featurette. But then we got a couple new things on this. We got Rob Cohen on the restoration, which, I mean, at the beginning, when you get the intro, you get this, but this actually has more to it. He talks more about diving into all the different things, what he was able to do, specific scenes, what he could, you know, he talks about how he could change things digitally, all the different colors. So it's a longer, I want to say it's 18, 20 minutes. He talks about all the color timing, what he did for the restoration here. There's also a recut ending. You can actually watch it by itself, or if you can watch it with the intro. He talks about why he did a little bit different and threw it on this disc, and then you can watch it. And it's one, I don't mind the different ending. I doubt if I'll ever, you know, they don't give you the option of watching the movie with it. It's just a bonus material. But I got so used to the original ending, I don't see a need to have this. He prefers the recut. I don't mind it, but, you know, again, I was just so used to it. I don't see a need to recut the entire film that way. But also, we got another new featurette. It's called Memories with Muscle. Talks about, you know, the training regime, you know, getting him ready, what he did to get ready for the movie. That was kind of interesting. And then we got the teaser, trailers, music video, production gallery. So, you know, the stuff ported over from Blu-ray, but it's got a few new features. So, considering the new features here were produced by Turbine with Rob Cohen, I don't think that was on the original Kino. Will they change it when they if and when Kino puts this back out, if they will include that, if they can get that from Turbine or not, I don't know, but some cool stuff here. So to wrap it up, do I recommend getting this? It's going to be up to you. How happy are you with the Blu-ray? Again, I didn't have the Blu-ray, so I can't compare the upgrade to it. I do know the Blu-ray did have a DTS 5.1. Again, since the Atmos track was weak here, I don't see the audio track being an upgrade. But again, this was visually pleasing. It wasn't upsetting like a Dante's Peak. I was happy. I was really happy watching this. I don't regret it at all. And plus a couple new bonus features. It was really cool. The interviews talking with Rob Cohen, talking about the whole you know, color grading. He worked with Turbine. They did exactly what he wanted. Could this have been better? I think it could have. I was expecting more, but again, I wasn't disappointed. It was good. Not as bad as Dante's Pig. That was a pure botch job in my opinion. So, I'll leave that up to you. I'll just give my opinions and let you know what's out there. This is selling for 30 euros, which US it works out to 35.35. Again, if you're going to get this from Turbine, I would find a couple other titles to get from them as well because of shipping rates. It's expensive to get from them. But, if you get two, I'd say at least 3 titles that make it worthwhile. Divide that shipping up. And plus, they've got a new They got standard shipping, and then plus they got this new tier of shipping. They don't call it a tariff fee, but I'm thinking that's probably what it is. There's an extra shipping fee that they threw in there for I think it's more of like a customs fee they call it. I can't remember. So it was like an additional $12 or $13 for my order on top of the standard shipping. So I bought this one. I bought Dante's Peak and their Hellraiser reboot. So I bought 3 titles from them. And shipping altogether, I want to say, Earl, is around 32, 33-ish, right in that ballpark. So yeah, you definitely, if you order from Turbine, you'll want to buy a few titles and make it worthwhile. So that does it for my look at the 4K of Daylight from Turbine. Please comment below, let me know what you think. Was you able to get a hold of the Kino Lorber one before they pulled them? Did you order this? Have you watched it yet? What are your thoughts? Does this review help sway you one way or the other? I just want to get my personal opinions out there, especially with, this one in Dante's Peak is, there's a lot of hot takes on the 4Ks right now with, Kino and Turbine. And it's been a complete clusterfuck with these releases. So I just wanted to, I just got mine the other day, and I wanted to get them watched and give my opinions, get that out there for you, and let you decide if you want to invest in getting this or not. So check out my other videos on my channel, like, subscribe, turn your bell notifications on for future videos, because I'm getting away from, I'm not doing a theme month, so I'm trying to spend some time getting some titles watched and reviewed, get some more content. My content has really slowed down on my channel recently because it got to a point where I felt like I was being obligated. I wanted to get stuff out there, and I just want to do things at my own pace and don't want to be pressured into doing things. I enjoy doing this stuff. I want to keep it fun, so it's not going to be as much as I used to do. But I do plan on, I just watched Long Kiss Goodnight from Arrow, got the 4K. I'm hoping to get a review up for that soon. I did Under Siege, I'm hoping to do as well. And I've got some other Arrow titles. I've got a lot of 4Ks I've bought in the last many months I've not checked out yet. So I do want to get some stuff out for you guys. So keep your eyes peeled for that. So we'll see you soon. Geek out.